Algebra 2, Lesson 1.1, Solving Linear Equations. Objectives. Translate verbal expressions into algebraic expressions and equations, and vice versa. Solve equations using the properties of equalities. Example 1, verbal to algebraic expression. A. Write an algebraic expression to represent the verbal expression 7 less than a number. We can use any variable we want to for the number. I just use x. X minus 7 is 7 less than a number. Example 1, part B. Write an algebraic expression to represent the verbal expression, the square of a number decreased by the product of 5 and the number. Using the variable x again, that would be x squared minus 5x. The product is when you multiply. Example 1, guided practice. Write an algebraic expression to represent the verbal expression 6 more than a number. More than a number is addition, so that's going to be B. Part B, 2 less than the cube of a number. If we want 2 less than something, we are going to be subtracting 2, and the cube of a number will give us A. Example 2, write a verbal sentence to represent that equation. 6 equals negative 5 plus a number x. Next one, write a verbal sentence to represent this. 7 times the number y minus 2 equals 19. What is the verbal sentence that represents that equation? Look it over, and you should have gotten A. Subtraction is difference, so the difference of a number and 3 is 7. What's a verbal sentence that represents that equation? So 5 equals, now we have to think about what that addition sign is, and that's going to be the sum. So 5 is equal to the sum of 2 and a number. Reflexive property. These are properties of equality. For any real value A equals A. Here's an example. B plus 12 equals B plus 12. Symmetric property. For all real numbers A and B, if A equals B, then B equals A. Here's an example. If 18 equals negative 2n plus 4, then negative 2n plus 4 equals 18. Transitive property. For all real numbers A, B, and C, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. You can go from the very beginning to the very end. Jumping over B, if 5p plus 3 equals 48 and 48 equals 7p minus 15, then 5p plus 3 equals 7p minus 15. Notice in the middle there, each one has 48, one at the end and one at the beginning. Substitution. If A equals B, then A must or may be replaced by B, and B may be replaced by A. So if the quantity 6 plus 1 times x equals 21, then 7x equals 21, because 7 is equivalent to 6 plus 1. Name the property that's illustrated in this statement. Both sides are identical. That's the reflexive property of equality. Name the property illustrated by the statement. If 9 equals x, then x equals 9. We're switching sides. That's the symmetric property of equality. Guided practice. What property is illustrated by this statement? If x plus 4 equals 3, and then 3 equals x plus 4, the two sides of the equal sign just switched. That's the symmetric property of equality. What property is illustrated in this statement? If 3 equals x and x equals y, then 3 equals y. That's a transitive property of equality. Addition and subtraction properties of equalities, and there's some symbols. Just remember when you are solving an equation, whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do to the other side, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So solve this equation. Check your solution. To solve this equation, we have to undo the minus 5.48, so we're going to add it to both sides. M equals 5.5. Let's check our answer. Plug our answer in to the original equation in place of m and see if it makes it a true statement, and it does. So our answer checks. Here's another one. We're going to solve this. I'm going to rewrite it off to the side so we have a little more room. And we have to undo that multiplying by 1/2. To undo that, we can multiply both sides by 2, because 2 times 1/2 is 1, and on the right-hand side, we're just going to get t. The left-hand side is 36, and remember that symmetric property of equality? We can switch the order, and t equals 36. Let's plug it in and see if it works. When we put 36 in place of our t, we do get 18 on both sides, so it checks. Here's another one. What is the solution to this equation? Get rid of your 5's by subtracting 5 on both sides. M is -2, which is B. Solve this equation. Well, let's rewrite it. We need to undo that 2/3. And to undo multiplying by 2/3, we can multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 3/2. So we multiply that on both sides of our equation. 3/2 times 2/3 is 1. So we just get x equals, and then we need to multiply that together. And our answer is 15. Here's another equation. We need to distribute first. So we're going to multiply the 3 and each of the values in that first set of parentheses. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 2 is 6. We have to do the same thing on that second set of parentheses. So -5 times 2x is -10x. -5 times 1 is -5. Combine like terms on the right-hand side. We'll need to get rid of that 1 first by subtracting 1 on both sides. We get 24 equals -4x. Divide both sides by -4, and -6 equals x, or use your symmetric property of equality, x equals -6. That's A. Solve for a variable. So we have our equation. It's the formula for the surface area, S, of a cone. L is the slant height of the cone. R is the radius of the base. You probably heard about this in geometry. Solve the formula for L. So here is the equation. We can factor out pi and r from each of those two terms on the right-hand side, because that's a common factor. And then in the parentheses is what's left over. So pi r L divided by pi r is L. Pi r squared divided by pi r is r. Divide both sides by pi r. That gets rid of it on the right-hand side. And then to get the L alone, we just subtract r. So S over pi r minus r equals L, our slant height. Example 6, guided practice. The formula for the perimeter of a rectangle is P equals 2L plus 2W, where P is a perimeter, L is the length, and W is the width of the rectangle. What is this formula solved for W? So here's our formula. We're trying to get the W alone. So subtract 2L on both sides. You get P minus 2L is 2W. And now to get the W alone, all we need to do is divide both sides by 2. So P minus 2L divided by 2 equals W. And that is option C. Use properties of equality. If 4g plus 5 equals 4/9, what's the value of 4g minus 2? Instead of solving for g and then redoing everything, let's just change the 4g plus 5. If we subtract 7 on both sides, we're going to get the 4g minus 2 on the left, and then all we need to do is calculate the 4/9 minus 7, and we get C, which is negative 59/9. Example 7, guided practice. If 2x plus 6 equals negative 3, what's the value of 2x minus 3? So let's make an adjustment to the left-hand side of our equation. We want to get 2x plus 6 to be 2x minus 3. We can do that if we subtract 9 on both sides. The left side will be 2x minus 3. We'll have to calculate negative 3 minus 9. And our 2x minus 3 equals negative 12.
Lesson 1-1, Solving Linear Equations Assignment. Lesson 1.1, Skills Practice Worksheet. It's in Google Classroom. It can also be found with the textbook, the virtual one, online. Go through Clever to get there. Submit the completed assignment in Google Classroom in the Classwork tab. It's a 5.9 grade. Show all appropriate work. You may write on the PDF. You may do all the problems on a piece of notebook paper. Write the original problem, show all work, and get your answer. And photograph that and submit it in Google Classroom.